Now, well, it seems NUMSA and the South African Cabin Crew Association have managed to bring SAA to a standstill. The airline has announced it's cancelling almost all its flights for tomorrow as well as Saturday, and that's after that unions have issued a strike notice. NUMSA's Pagamile Hlubi Majola now joins me on the line to take this conversation further. Thank you so much, Pagamile, for your time and welcome. But I want to start with context, perhaps, for the strike before I get into your reaction regarding SAA's decision to, stop certain flights for today and Saturday. What is the strike all about?
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your viewers. Ultimately, there's two issues which are happening at the same time. The one is the fact that we are engaged in wage talks with SAA. Every year, SAA has to engage in talks to increase the salaries annually. And this is the process which we're embarking on. And what is actually the reason we have a strike certificate is that we deadlocked over wages a couple of weeks ago. We tabled a demand of 8%, they tabled a demand of 0%. On Monday we met, and again it was very clear that we weren't making any progress because SAA refused to accede to the demand, even after having agreed to give pilots their increase. So, as a result of that, SAA then served us with Section 189 retrenchment notice. This is how we view their announcement to serve us with Section 189. We believe that the decision to announce the restructuring specifically at this point is in response to our demands for wages. Our demands do not just include a demand for a wage increase. We speak about, for example, a demand for SAA to insource. Why we make this demand is because we know that this is one of the things that can actually contribute greatly to improving the financial status of SAA and ensuring the long-term sustainability of the airline. This is something that we know speaks directly to SAA's survival. And it's an issue that even up until this point, we are not sure, it does not seem to us that management is committed to this ideal.
Now, speaking of your reaction now to SAA deciding to scrap all flights, regional, domestic, or even international, from today and Saturday, what's NUMSA's reaction to that?
Well, that is not uncommon. Other airlines do it when workers go on strike. Earlier this year, British Airways cancelled flights when its workers went on strike, and Lufthansa did the same. So, I'm guessing that's probably why they're doing it. But I think what's more important is that we must engage, because ultimately, the cancellation of flights has an impact, of course, on the airline. And ultimately, we want to try and find each other on the issues that have brought us to this impasse. We did meet, actually, as unions, SAA and NUMSA, together with the management of SAA last night. They tabled an offer, and we are currently deliberating on this offer. We are presenting it to members. We are going to meet again later this afternoon with the management of SAA around 2 p.m. to communicate to them what our members are saying about this offer. I'm not able to divulge the details thereof because as a union we only ever communicate the details of an offer once it's been agreed to. And then we are hoping that this engagement will avert a strike.
All right, then. Well, thank you so much. That was NUMSA's Pagamile Hlubi Majola on the line. But we spoke to Heidi Jockus earlier on in OR Tambo. Let's now cross to the Cape Town International Airport, where Ronald Masinda is joining us live from there. Ronald, thank you for your time and welcome. I mean, we know now that passengers, some way traveling domestically, regionally, or even internationally are affected by this decision. But how has this decision by SAA affected movement or even business at the Cape Town International Airport?
Well, a very good morning to you, to me. Well, it really is a calm before the big storm, because that is what NUMSA told us earlier on, NUMSA Western Cape, saying that hundreds of people will be here in protest of the SAA. But also, to me, having just arrived earlier on, we have seen very little activity on the SAA line. I'm going to ask my colleague Lungile so that I can step out of shot, just to give the viewers a sense that there's not a lot happening on that SAA line, having spoken to a number of people who are on flights today, saying that they are really happy that this strike action won't affect them today. But some that I've spoken to, they are saying that, you know, this is a disgrace. This is a national air carrier that shouldn't be embroiled in such activity, and that this has affected not only them personally, going out in places like Johannesburg to see family members, but also their businesses. So many people feel that they have been let down, they have been left stranded, given that this strike action will take place over the course of the weekend. We also spoke to NUMSA's Vuyo Lifela earlier on, saying to us that, you know, they are busy mobilizing the people that will be attending to the strike, the SAA staff members, and also the South African Cabin Crew Association members, saying that hundreds of people will be here. They will look to start tomorrow's strike at around 8 a.m. They also said that, you know, basically they are very disgruntled with the way things have been run, saying that they want the SAA board to step down and that they're not holding back, and want their demands to be met, and that is nothing less than the 8% increase that they have demanded.
Right, thanks very much indeed there, Ronald. Let's just get straight into now for some context on this. We take a look at some of the numbers as the national carrier finds itself in deep trouble. What are some of the numbers here that stand out, that point to the dire financial position of the airline? Now, these highlight the colossal financial interventions that were made, but very little to solve the problem. First of all, 5.5 billion rand, that was the cash injection for the 2019-2020 financial year. And then we move on to the next number. We see that Treasury then steps in again and committed to repay that 9.2 billion rand of the airline's debt over the next 3 years. Still not actually doing much, because SAA telling Parliament yesterday that it brings little relief and it needs more money to operate. So that's where the next figure comes in. The banks are said to give SAA another 2 billion rand, and that's for working capital once a repayment plan of that 9.2 billion debt repayment is in. So SAA is saying conditions have worsened, and even that figure wouldn't be enough for it to operate. And we haven't even gotten to the next figure yet. Let's bring that up. 50 million rand a day. That's what the board of directors estimate it will cost the airline if a full-blown strike goes ahead and planes are grounded. Now, we've been talking to NUMSA, the union, and we've seen that unions want an increase of between 5.9 to 8% in increases. South African Airways cannot afford to pay it, nor can it afford a strike. So a very, very sensitive, very precarious situation indeed. Of course, just a reminder of some of the issues put forward by the union there. NUMSA telling us that, look, the reason why they want this, they don't believe that the dire situation this airline is in is because of increases in salary, governance issues, decisions that were made by the board. That's what puts this national carrier in the state it is. But of course, we'll be tracking with our journalists at the various airports to see exactly what this threat of the strike is actually doing.